Hello, this is a coverage of Chapter 1 of Managerial Economics. These videos will serve as a lecture in brief, not a comprehensive coverage of the topic. Please consult your instructor and the other material in the course for further coverage. When we are talking about managerial economics, what we are looking for is the management of scarce resources, and so we see here some different questions that would be affected by those constraints. Do you purchase components from other manufacturers, or do you produce them? Should the firm specialize? How many units do you produce? These are all things that firms need to understand and focus on. So when we're talking about economics, we want to bridge that gap between the theory of economics and the practice of management. So one of the things that we want to be concerned about in this area are issues such as goals and constraints. Well, the goal is always to maximize profit. The constraints or the costs or limitations related to that. We also want to understand profit. So accounting profit is different from economic profit. We want to understand the difference of those two concepts and be able to apply them appropriately. Also, incentives. All people are incentivized by something, and so we want to make sure that we identify that in a way that helps us produce the greatest work product from the individual people. This starts with the entry-level employee all the way up to the CEO. It's important to understand markets or industry. And so we see here there are different rivalries which occur in markets. So for instance, there is the rivalry between the consumer and the producer. The producer wants the highest cost for their product. The consumer wants the lowest cost for their product. Consumer to consumer. There is a finite number of goods, and sometimes if one person purchases the good, it excludes the other. Rivalry there. Good example of that, the housing market. If there's multiple buyers for a single house, only one of them are going to own it. Producer to producer. This is competition within the industry because they want to make sure that their product is sold, which means that their competitor is not selling their product as much. We also want to understand time value of money. This is where economics bridges with finance, present value analysis and net present value, understanding the value of dollars today versus dollars in the future. And then we have marginal analysis. And this is the cost-benefit analysis of the next product sold or the next dollar of revenue generated. And so marginal analysis is an important part of economic analysis. In Chapter 1, it focuses on 5 forces. This is going to be a recurring theme through the course. We see here, we have the 5 forces identified and examples of those. Please use this as well as the other resources to address the various questions and assignments related to this concept. What we are trying to do is deal with, so for instance, we have the power of suppliers, so we have the concentration of our supplier industry. We have the price of alternative inputs. So do we have the ability to buy something at a lower amount? We also have relationships with our suppliers. How does that affect our profits? Also, what if we switch our suppliers? And then also government constraints. One thing that you do want to be aware of, if you look at these 5 forces, some of these 5 forces have similar factors that affect it. So for instance, all 5, if you look at the last line, is government constraints. So that is an important part of understanding the similarities and the differences between these 5 forces. Please look at the Michael Porter interview for more information about this. And so this is chapter 1 in brief.